In the meantime, South Korean police are now investigating President Yoon for alleged insurrection over his short-lived declaration of martial law. What lies ahead for the troubled South Korean leader? Let's turn to Professor Lee Hee-eun this morning. Hello there, Professor Lee.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Would you say President Yoon's call for martial law decree is considered insurrection? Why are there comments that it is?
Right, because under the Criminal Act of Korea, the insurrection is one of the bases for, prosecution for a president. President generally enjoys immunity, but insurrection is the kind of activity that you would incite violence, and particularly in this kind of case where it's a highly politicized event, of course, by sending potentially troops to the National Assembly, and as we heard this morning, arresting officials. That would amount to a cause of violence against the state, which I think in this case would potentially amount to insurrection. So I think the facts need to, of course, be drawn out further, but it appears that as the facts come out more and more, that there seems to be a case potentially for some criminal prosecution for insurrection. So I think the possibility is relatively high that this case could be pursued by the prosecution against the president for the crime of insurrection.
Well, there were claims that within the prosecution, the martial law declaration amounted to an abuse of power, which is why there is a direct investigation into the case now. But isn't it impossible for a president to be indicted except for treason?
That's right. Under the Korean Constitution, this is Article 87, it provides that the president can only, in terms of insurrection itself, but I'm referring to Article 84 of the Constitution, that the president cannot be charged with any crime except for insurrection or treason. So in this case, if there's an abuse of power or abuse of authority, that is a criminal act normally that you can apply to public officials. But under the Constitution, the president enjoys immunity. So in this case, the only two crimes that the president can be prosecuted for while he's in office is insurrection or treason.
Well, the impeachment vote is taking place tomorrow here in South Korea on Saturday. A two-thirds of majority is required to pass the motion, as we all know, now, which would need support from at least 8 lawmakers from the ruling party. Now, can the opposition push for another round of impeachment motion if it's not passed tomorrow?
Well, the situation, as you know, is very fluid.
Right.
Last night, we heard that maybe the ruling party, PPP, would not vote in favor of impeachment. But this morning, as you reported,
right.
It seems like they're going to vote maybe potentially in favor of it. But if they do vote against it for whatever reason, then of course the progressive bloc of the National Assembly can continue to introduce those motions until the impeachment motion is passed. But of course, all eyes will be on Saturday, obviously tomorrow, to see whether or not the PPP will in fact now vote in favor of impeachment, given that the opposition ruling party leader has indicated that President Yoon has to be suspended. So it's likely we'll see tomorrow that maybe the PPP will vote now in favor of impeachment and get those 8 votes necessary, at least 8 votes necessary for impeachment to actually happen.
Right, at least 8 votes. Now, once the impeachment motion is passed, let's say it will move on to the Constitutional Court. Now, we are missing 3 constitutional judges to conduct hearings and decisions at the moment, but, theoretically speaking, that really shouldn't be a problem, right?
Well, the difficulty here is that under the Constitutional Court Act of Korea, so there's a law that governs the procedures for the Constitutional Court, and the Constitutional Court will be the place where the trial is supposed to be held for impeachment. But under the rules of the court itself, there needs to be at least 7 judges for there to be a full bench. And a full bench is necessary for any adjudication. So given the fact that since October 17, we've now had 6 judges, given that 3 judges had their terms ended, because there's a total of 9 judges,
right.
6 judges theoretically wouldn't be able to constitute a full bench. So I think there's some difficulties here. If a trial were supposed to happen, there's going to be some internal procedural issues because a full bench cannot be constituted.
Well, Professor Lee, then let's say just 5 out of 6 judges vote in favor of impeachment. Then what happens when the 3 missing judges join the 6 in the future? Is there any possibility that the decision maybe, will be overturned?
Right, because yeah, I think so because under the court again under the court's rules, in order for there to be a full adjudication, there has to be at least 7 judges. So if there are 6 judges who vote in favor, I mean, theoretically, there's a possibility that this could go forward. But I think there's going to be some difficulties here because despite the fact that you have, this number of judges, you only have, in this case, again, 6 judges currently. The fact that you're missing the 7th judge in order to have this adjudication, 6 judges voting in favor, I think will cause some procedural problems for the court. So I think it's unlikely that that would happen. But I think, of course, the court is looking into that situation. So we'll see as time progresses.
Alrighty, Professor Lee, we'll have to get back to you tomorrow morning on the impeachment vote day. Thanks so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.